afternoon, good evening, everybody. How the heck are you? Welcome to another Secret Beach Surf Report. It's I, the Big Kahuna, Jason T. Smith. Hello. What's going on, everybody? Good to see you all in the chat. How you doing? Welcome to my August presentation. Oh, my beard's a mess. I haven't showered yet today. Probably TMI, huh? Going to be a good one tonight. And if you didn't see my Facebook Live in the Secret Beach group earlier, it's kind of going to be two webinars in one, because I'm going to share a lot of screenshots with Solds and explain the difference and the nuances. And man, people just take crappy pictures and write crappier titles. So as we see these, I will also pause and be like, don't do this and don't do that and look at this. Because, the whole goal is to be as professional as possible, look as good as possible, and that's always the plan. And some people just, they shortcut it, and you really shouldn't. Because, we had a discussion in the thrifting board last night. Woman had a Pixar Rain Spooner shirt. Couldn't understand why the other person's was selling and hers wasn't. Hers was laid on a bed, and she was shooting straight up it. And there are guys who's on a hanger. Neither one of them own a mannequin. That's fine. But I even said, I put the picture side by side, and I said to her, I said, which one's more pleasing to the eye? And she goes, well, his, obviously. So even though we teach, good photos, good titles, sometimes people just miss it. And I'm always going to rehash that and refresh it in your brain to make sure that we're all on the same page. So we all want to look good. Hey, my mom's here for once. What, Ma, you're not playing cards? What's happening? All right, well, let's jump right in, and I'm going to take myself off the screen here, but you'll still hear my dulcet tones. Tonight, we're talking about comparing apples to apples, how to properly research items. And what I think happens quite often is the way I recommend you research is to research kind of generically at first and then fine-tune it. And if you start with too many words, you might not find the right stuff, but then you fine tune it. But I think a lot of people aren't comparing apples to apples. They're like, oh, Dark Side of the Moon on CD. I see that one sells for $5. This must be worth $5. When in actuality, yours is the $50 one. So we're going to go over and look at all the different ways that things can be different. Now, the reason this topic kind of popped in my head, because as I was prepping for a selling past your expiration date, being Thrifty Hour 50 with me and Mom, I saw that she had sold this WWF Hulk Hogan mask from 1991 for only $18. And that struck me as odd. That struck me as, that's too little. And I said, hey, Mom, why'd you sell that too little? And she said, well, that seemed about the going right. So I looked at the currents, and as you can see, there's a $9.99, a $100, an $8, an $8, and a $9. The 10, the 8, the 8, and the 9 are all the same mask. It's a different mask. As you can see, the eyes are cut out. The one Mom sold is a full mask with the blue eyes. And so since the only current one right now is $100, Mom selling it for 18 was just too little. And this isn't a webinar to bash my mother, but it's just the impetus and why I got to this point. I think Mom saw, or even Dad, because Dad does a lot of the research, all these other masks and didn't realize that they were actually a different mask. And so Mom sold for the 18 and someone sold one 2 weeks later for 40. And we're also, the other reason I told her, I go, oh, that's too low, was we're just on the precipice of Halloween. Look, pumpkin spice everything started coming out today. It's August. So when you are selling Halloween stuff, don't, especially as we're getting right to the edge of it, don't sell it too little. Now, if it's, October 28th, and you still got some Halloween stuff listed and someone sends you a lowball offer, get rid of it. I totally understand that. But I do sell Halloween costumes all year, so I don't really discount stuff that's good too much. But that's what I think happened. I think Mom and or Dad saw these other masks and just assumed they were all the same, when in actuality it was a little bit different. And because of that, because of the eyeballs, can command a little bit of a higher price. All right, so here's some things to look for. I'm just going to give you the list, and then we're going to see examples of each one of them. Nuances. A lot of times they look alike, but there's just this one little difference that makes something $100 and something $5. Locations. That's going to kind of be when we talk about tiki mugs. Well, from this location, they sold lots of mugs. This location only closed after 2 months. That's why that location gets a lot more money. Color. A lot of times, hey, the brown one's worth one thing, but the blue one, it's worth quite a bit more. That's where you do need to be a little bit specific. Catalog number pretty much refers to records. We're definitely going deep into that. UPC, now we're more talking CDs, DVDs, stuff like that. Whoops, jumped ahead. Date, when something came out. So the original Star Wars toys came out in 77. They've made some repops that look just like them, but those came out in the 90s and 2000s. They're not going to nearly command the money that the 77s do. And it was great. If you're in the thrifting board, you should check out the whole discussion on some Star Wars figures that someone just shared. There was a lot of back and forth. These are original. No, they're not. Well, the guy took them to a place. They are original. And I think he was giving them to him for free. And he's got about $5,000 in his hand. But there was discussion. Are these old or these repops? Country, things that come sometimes domestically from here in the U.S. command one price, and then Japanese counterparts command a lot higher. And fakes. Unfortunately, in a lot of things, purses, we expect it. Jeans, we expect it. There are so many fake tiki mugs now that you got to keep your eye out for fakes to make sure that you are not, when you're doing your research, you're not looking at the fake prices. Different cover. Sometimes things are released in multiple covers, and so that's what you got to look for. You got to make sure that you're looking at the same cover when you're comparing prices. Tags. Okay, this is where it's easy to tell if it's an original, like 80s, 90s t-shirt, or if it's a modern shirt. Misspellings. Misspellings are what collectors look for. It's amazing what I'm about to show you, how just the letter T, one single letter T, really change the price on something. Size. Sometimes when you're looking at things online, if you're not paying attention to the words, to the size measurements, and you're looking at pictures, you might not notice any difference. And I'm going to show you a prime example of that. Manufacturer. Some products have been made over the years by different manufacturers. So essentially, it's the same product, but this manufacturer, their version looked a lot better than this other manufacturer's version, and that's why the one goes for a lot more than the other. Speaking of versions, some things come out in multiple versions. I didn't have any of these examples, but just as an afterthought, back when CDs were still hot, so we're talking late 90s throughout the early 2000s, CDs would come out and they'd be released on Tuesday. Well, Best Buy wanted to bring people in the door. Target wanted to bring people in the door. And Walmart wanted to bring people in the door. So what would happen is, say the new Britney Spears album came out on Tuesday. So I worked at a record store. We got the regular version that every record store would get. Best Buy would have a special version. Walmart would have a special version different than Best Buy, and Target would have yet another special version with extra tracks, videos, booklets, playing cards, whatever. But those are all four of those would be four separate versions. So when you go to look up that Britney Spears CD, you got to make sure you're looking at the right one. Misprints. Now, misprints are different than misspellings, and you'll see it's an actual like typographical error, not a misspelling. And missing songs. Oftentimes, music comes out, and then some song strikes a wrong chord with the majority of the general public, or those in charge at least, and then they pull those songs. So then collectors want those songs, and so you're always on the hunt for the ones with the missing songs, because oftentimes the covers never change, just the content of the CD in this case. All right, so let's start with location. All right, so of course, there's going to be some tiki examples in here. And I don't think I've ever given this little bit of knowledge, so I thought I'd drop this with you right now. Tiki Bob's was in San Francisco. That tiki is still there today. It hasn't been Tiki Bob's in forever. And this is generally thought of as the first place that had the first tiki mug. So even though Don and Vic created the tiki bar, it wasn't until Bob came along and said, you know what? We should make some ceramic vessels to take home. That way people can be like, oh, where'd you get that? Oh, at Tiki Bob's. I'll go check it out. Okay, so there's a ton of different Tiki Bobs. So you got to make sure that when you're going to do your research, you find the right one. So there were in the 60s and 70s a lot of at-home ceramics. So someone made this Tiki Bob at home, and it was actually personalized, where it says the Kurz in the right lower right-hand corner. You might not be able to see it because it's really light gold, but it says the Kurz. And so even at home ones, especially done well, because this is done very, very well, going to command around $100. Now, here are 3 at-home ones that weren't exactly as good. I would still put them in my collection because I do love the Tiki Bob. But these 3 together sold for $128. Now is when you got to start paying attention to the real ones and the location. So this one was from, now Tiki Bob was in San Francisco, but a lot of other places just stole the mug and used it because they were thinking, okay, this is 1950s, early 60s maybe. A bar in New Orleans is not going to attract the attention of a bar in San Francisco. It's not like it is nowadays where we can, with social media and cameras, we can see every corner of the world. So Bali Hai at the beach just said, well, we're going to take Tiki Bob and we're going to make it our own. And so if you find a Tiki Bob from the Bali Hai at the beach, it's $204. Now, if you find it from the original, whereas from the beach had it on the side, the original has it on the back. Some have that yellow lay around it, some don't. But this one does have the yellow lay, as you can see in the title. And this is from San Francisco, $314. So as you can see, we jumped up from $100 for a personalized at-home one, $200 for New Orleans, and $300 for the original. So if you happen to find one of these, I would hate for you to sell for $100 if you had Tiki Bob's original San Francisco because you saw an at-home one on eBay. I would like to point out they have Tiki Mug nowhere in this title. Granted, they do have Tiki Bob's and they do have Mug. I still think it's better for the search engines and Google search engines and pleasing to the eye if you have the words Tiki and Mug next to each other. So yes, you would have to replicate the word Tiki in this listing. And yellow lay, that is absolutely a very important part, but get rid of those parentheses. Unneeded punctuation screws up search engines. Don't ever use punctuation. We don't need to. Okay, but we're not done climbing the ladder yet because, and this is the best picture I could get for recent solds, there was a place called Chow and Grog that also used a Tiki Bob, and this just sold in November. And so if you find the Chow and Grog, which is way rare, now we're talking $408. We're going up another $100. And then the ultimate, which I do have one, when Blue Hawaii came out, the production company invited a bunch of the theater owners from around the country to come see a showing of it. And who knew they had swag bags back then, but they were given a Tiki Bob Elvis Presley Blue Hawaii mug as a thank you and as a little parting gift. And now we're talking, and it'll say Elvis Presley Blue Hawaii on the side. And now we're talking $770. Shut up, Susan. Shut up right now. Shut up. That is so awesome. Susan just bought one today for $4. You scored. Good job. So, as you can see, the importance of doing proper research. They're all the same mug, but we go from $100 to $800. I don't want, and look, if you don't find the one you have, don't just take a stab based on the other ones. Go to Terapeak, go to Worth Point. If you don't have those things, well, we all should have Terapeak. I think we all have eBay stores. If you don't have it, message me. I am happy to help you. I'll always tell you the right price, especially on mugs. Now, kind of keeping along those same lines, look at these 4 mugs. Other than the shade of the mug, they're the exact same mug. This is called the Peanut Mug, yet one of these is worth $8 and one is worth $60. This is, again, where it comes into location. So the plain peanut mug from no location, fine mug, but there's about 1 million in existence. It just sold for $9. That is about the going rate for just a regular old peanut mug. Okay, so here's one from the Hawaii Kai, which was in New York City. And now we're starting to climb up the ladder. Hawaii Kai will get you about $20. Now, isn't that crazy? You just have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 letters on the back of the same mug, and it doubled the price. 9 letters, double the price. Now, this is from the Stockton Islander. So now it's from a different location, but also they changed the hue of it just a little bit. And as you can see, now we're creeping up closer to 30. We're at $27 now for this one. The Tonga Room in the Fairmont Hotel. It's an amazing bar restaurant still there. If you've never been, next time you're in San Francisco, you must go see it. It's there's a pool in the middle of it. It's basically a lagoon. It rains. It's awesome. Wait, double shut up. That was your first mug find? So you found an amazing score as your first mug find. Hey, Susan, before you actually list it, let me make sure I got a New Orleans one. If I don't, I'll buy it off you because I do love the Bobs. But so here we are at the Fairmont Hotel, Tonga Room, and this one sold for $45. So boom, we're going up the ladder even more. And then, hey, check it out. We're back to Tiki Bob's. Tiki Bob said, okay, we did so well with this one mug. Let's do another mug. So the Tiki Bob's peanut mug sells for almost $60. So we went from $9 to $60, same exact mug, but it's based on the location and where it came from. So the birth of the Tiki mug, Tiki Bob, people will pay more money for it. Okay, we also want to talk about fakes because fakes, unfortunately, bleed into a lot of our lives. Okay, we've all sold jeans. There's tons of fake jeans. I'm sure most of us who are watching have sold purses and dresses. Tons of fakes. And now there's fakes in the Tiki world too. The one on the right is the legit. The one on the left is the bullshit Chinese or Russian ripoff. Russia and China are giving each other a run for their money for the most ripoffs. So the legit one is made by Tiki Farm. It was from the bar 3 Dots and a Dash in Chicago. The name of the mug is the Bone Collector, and it sells for, as you can see, $70. Here's a ripoff one. They didn't even bother to put the name in. Skull Tiki King God Mug Cocktail Cup Wine Mug Ceramic Voodoo Brown Totem Decor. So this Hong Kong ripoff just looked at sold listings for things like this and said, here's every keyword we can jam in this title. You also don't want to sell fakes because I'm working with every mug manufacturer to help them at least get Vero to knock these off. Take them off the site. All right, catalog number. Who knows what the name of this album is? I would hope, especially since we've done a couple LP webinars here on the Secret Beach, I would hope everyone knows what the name of this album is. I'm assuming most of us have owned it once or twice, or maybe on a couple different platforms. Kind of a seminal album. Boom, Tina's got it. As soon as it shows up, I'll throw it up there. My chat and the actual chat are a little behind. Come on, there we go. Oops, I wanted Tina's. Yep, you got the White Album. Okay, now, if you've heard me say this question before, please don't answer. For those of you who have never heard this question, on just vinyl, so we're not talking CD, we're not talking cassette, we're not talking 8-track, on just vinyl, how many versions of the White Album do you think there are? And it's not one, because you got to think about this. Records get released in different countries. Companies change, they merge. There's re-releases on anniversaries. So there's definitely, some people have guessed one. There is really no record that there's only one version of. Maybe some crappy stuff in the 90s. But how many versions of the Beatles' White Album on vinyl do you think there are? I'll wait till I see a few numbers, and then I'll give you the actual answer. Because this even surprised me. Two things I'm going to show you coming up here surprised me. All right, so Susan has guessed 6. Good guess. Tina's guessed 50. Jane has guessed 12. I think my mom's already heard it, so she's probably not guessing. Sabrina's guessed a lowly little 2. All right, so I hope you're all sitting down because you're gonna poop your pants and fall over. Yeah, 579 different versions of the White Album on vinyl. That's why this webinar is important. That's why you have to know exactly what you're selling. Because, of course, within these 579, there's going to be so much variation in price. Now, I just showed you a screenshot of just some of them. And as you can see, it shows the version. It shows the label. So we got a lot on Apple. And then we got one on Tato, which is out of South Korea. Shows the year it came out, shows the country it came out in, and it shows the catalog number. So the catalog number is going to be written on the spine and usually on the record itself in the middle. And that's where you're going to find out what version you have. Okay, so for example, this is PMC 7068. That is the catalog number. So if you find this in great shape, you are looking at $215. This is EAS 67157, and it is an import out of Japan. We're going to talk separate countries in a little bit. If you got this one, $227. As you can see, for some reason, they pressed the White Album on red vinyl. If you have the PCS 7067-8 and it's in good shape, now we're talking crazy money. Crazy. As you can see, 28 bids, $1,025. Now, as you can see on this one, here's our whole title. Again, our little bonus webinar, what not to do. Beatles, White Album, still sealed with insert. Holy crap. They have a sealed version of this album, yet nowhere in their title did they tell anyone what version it is. Now, it's still sold for $4.99, but if you look in their item specifics, if they would have had it in there at least, it would show up in search. They only have it here in their description, and that's not showing up in search. So who knows? I'm thinking that's more like an $800 to $900 album in this condition of brand new, but they did themselves no service by not having the catalog number in the title, or at the least the item specifics. Okay, now here is another PCS 7067-8, and you're thinking, why is this one only $11? Well, it's album cover only. So again, this goes back to the whole research. Okay, so now all right, Jay told me I got to plug in the catalog number. I've done that. Now, make sure you don't stop reading at that point. Because if you see this pop up and you're like, oh, it's only worth $11. No, only the album cover is worth $11. So you still got to keep on reading to make sure you are listing properly. Now, I wanted to show you over the last 12 months, there have been 2,607 Beatles White Album LP and an average sale price of $49.08, which is a pretty good return on an average of $26.07. But again, to prove why you really got to be specific about which catalog number, okay, here's one that sold for 99 cents. And here's one that sold for $1,500. Okay. So there's our range, $1 to $1,500. Can't even buy a Diet Coke at a gas station, could buy a nice used car. Okay. There's the difference. So you got to make sure you are on point. Now, if at any point you don't understand, if you're on point about any product, message me, pop in the Secret Beach. Happy to help to make sure that you're in the right spot. Okay. Misspelling. This goes, typically this is only going to be on media. So books and records and CDs, games and stuff. So anytime there's a misspelling, collectors want it, because as soon as something comes out and the misspelling is pointed out, boom, production stops. Only the ones that are out will be sold. We're going to fix it. And now no more misspelling. So here is the Beatles early when they were on VJ. VJ was their first label. And this is Please Please Me, For Me to You. And as you can see, the numbers up there, 63-2967-3218. That is the catalog number. And as you can see, it's $23. But this one, Please Please Me, it has the Beatles with 2 T's. So 1 T, just a T, makes this record now worth, after 60 bids, almost $500. And I don't know if you can tell, but if you look at that label, this record is trashed. It's disgusting. I was showing Stacy last night. Like, it's actually gross. But the collectors will pay crazy money for a misspelling. So the Beatles don't have 2 T's, but if you find, so this also shows you that if you find something in poor condition and it's one of these rare kind of things, don't leave it behind. If this was in mint condition, now we're talking thousands of dollars for a 45, but even in bad condition, and they use the condition space to tell you how mega rare it is. So they misuse the condition space. And look at all these quotes in here. Please me, ask me why is in quotes. The Beatles with 2 T's in quotes. Get rid of all those quotes. Don't put any quotes in your title. Okay, here we go again. This is a Metal Massacre. This is a compilation of early early 80s metal bands. And there was Metal Massacre 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then this is number 1, and it had a few different pressings. This is the third pressing. Again, too much unneeded punctuation. There's parentheses and the little squiggly line. Don't need all that. But as you can see, Metallica's on here with their song Hit the Lights. And if you find this in decent use condition, $37. However, when it first was pressed, $400 because that damn T again, 2 T's in Metallica, it changes it from $40 to $400. 10 times more. Now, that's a great question, Jane. Typically, not always, but typically on stuff like this, no. For sure on like bootleg concert shirts. That's a dead giveaway. And I have a pair of Adidas Diesel jeans that Diesel was misspelled. So it can't happen. So it doesn't necessarily indicate a fake. These two examples indicated someone who can't spell properly or who didn't have spell check back in the day. But yeah, it should make you pause. But look at that. Just the added T. Both examples were the letter T changed the money crazy. All right. So date and catalog number together, because I'm going to show you why sometimes you got to pay attention to both. Okay. So this shocked me more than the Beatles. So the Beatles have been around for a lot longer. Nirvana, Nevermind, amazing album, changed the face of rock because we were all hair metal, and then Nirvana, Nevermind came out, and boom, it was all about grunge from Seattle. I was shocked that there's 197 versions of the vinyl, just the vinyl. So we're not talking CDs or cassettes. So there's 197 separate versions of Nirvana's Nevermind on vinyl. And when I said date and catalog number, so here's our catalog number. It's ORG 032. And it came out in 2009. So this is a repress of this. 15 bids, $39. Not bad. You expect that for just a normal, good used record. Okay, so now here we are at the 1991 version. So this is when this came out. Let me pop this guy off for a second. And they have the DGC 2442. So when they first came out, they were on a smaller label, and then Geffen picked them up. So the Geffen version from 1991, Geffen Records DGC 2442, is worth $350. This is the DGC 24425, the first pressing when it wasn't on Geffen, and also 91. So this came out, and then really quickly after, it was a switch to it. $800, 2 bids. So essentially, you just saw the same album go from $39 to $400 to $800. So you got to look at the date and the catalog number. All right. So then we have missing songs. Now, if you've taken my class, if you've seen the CD webinar, I think I've talked about this, but this is one of the best examples because no one pays attention. And I want you guys to pay attention. These are 2 different CDs right here, but as you can tell by the front, there is no difference. Sometimes when records get pulled and things have to be changed, some things change, but this case it didn't. Body Count is Ice-T, the rapper's heavy metal band. Fun side story, the drummer from this band owns a house in my neighborhood. Hi, neighbor. But the regular version, the one I don't want you to find, here's what it sells for, $3.25. When this first came out, they had a song on it called Cop Killer, and people got all up in arms, and they had it pulled off the CD. So that version with Cop Killer it sells for $50. Now, in the back, you will notice Cop Killer is track 18, and the redone version, they pulled two songs off, so no Cop Killer. So if you see this album or the CD, flip it over. Track 18 Cop Killer, you got the right one. Take it home, make $50. And Ice-T had a good argument back in the day. Arnold Schwarzenegger could have a movie where a Terminator kills a cop. That's no problem, but you can't sing a song about it. Not that we're getting into politics, but this was a big deal back in the time. So people who want to collect, they want it with the original song. All right, then we have different covers. Oh, I never noticed that, Tina. Wow. Tina putting it down. Tina's teaching me stuff. I've had this album forever. So the original one had a Cop Killer tattooed on the chest, and they had to change it to Body Count. I never realized that, Tina. Thank you. So now you don't even have to flip it over. long as you can read the front, you'll know which version you have. You rock, Tina. Good job. All right, let's get back to where we were. Okay, now, if you've not taken my in-person class, you are going to be shocked by this. Paris Hilton has a song, CD out where she sings. I wonder how many people right now are going, wait, what? Yeah. And as you can see, this seller has more than 10 available with 7 solds at $3.50. However, when I say different covers, kind of like the body count, which is now going to be falling under the different covers category, there isn't a very special version of this CD. And I can't believe that I'm going to tell you this, but anytime you see this Paris Hilton CD in a thrift store or record store, you got to look at it. Make sure it's not the special version. Because when I made this slide for my classes, I made this slide, as you can see, January 28th, 2018. Here's what the special version is selling for. $400. Now you're saying to yourself, what? Okay. So Paris did a limited run of 500 of these in conjunction with the artist Banksy. Now, if you don't know who Banksy is, you probably have seen his art. This is Banksy's art. He's probably one of the most famous street artists ever of all time. No one knows what he looks like. And his art, I love Banksy. And so when I found out Banksy did a CD with Paris, I'm like, wait, what? So I'm going to show you what you're looking for, but I have to warn you right now. I'm about to show you a picture of some boobies. Actually, the next 2 examples have boobies in it. So if anyone has a problem with boobies, or if the little ones are watching, you might want to have them close their eyes for a second. I'll let you know when it's okay to turn back around. And here we go. You have been warned. Okay, the Banksy version has Paris's boobs hanging out. They're not her real boobs. He just did basically Photoshop. And here's the 2 side by side. So as you can see, she has her dress on the right. The normal one worth $3. The one on the left is the Banksy version. Now, throughout the CD, all this stuff you're seeing now was not in there. So Banksy added artwork inside the booklets. Every time someone asks me how I am, I hesitate for a little bit too long. Every CD you buy puts me even further out of your league. Life wasn't meant to be fair. Thou shalt not worship false icons. This doesn't seem like much. It seems like someone cut some letters out of a magazine, but this is art, and people will pay dearly for art. Race to the bottom of the pile. A special limited edition remix. So this is the Banksy version. Now, I just was looking at it, as you can see on August 10th. In a year and a half, it has doubled in price. It is now selling for $800. So please, if you ever find one, let me know. I mean, this is my new white whale. I want to find the Banksy Paris Hilton CD. I don't think I'll sell it. Stacey will probably make me sell it. But it's such an amazing, cool piece of art. And what they did was they snuck them into record stores. So record stores didn't even know they were selling them. Banksy, who no one knows what he looks like, was all around London, like walking in the stores and leaving 5 CDs behind in the rack. And so people were, unbeknownst to them, buying these cool pieces of art. Okay, and we got one more piece of nudity coming up, and I'm not showing nudity just to be gratuitous, because it does make a lot of difference in things. The tag I recently found, and here comes the nudity, so if you need to turn away, turn away. I recently found this Nirvana shirt, which basically took the cover of Two Virgins by John Lennon and Yoko Ono, ripped it off, photoshopped some faces on it, and I got it listed for $800. It's on sale for $600 right now. I should get about $500 for it, but mine is legit USA 1990. There's someone selling a $22 one, which obviously is the reprint, which Nirvana and or Lennon or Yoko or the Beatles or Geffen could all have it pulled off of eBay. I'm shocked that they don't. But mine has the Made in USA Hanes tag, heavyweight, and theirs, as you can see, has no tag at all. So when if you roll across that shirt, you're like, oh my God, I found. Oh no, I didn't. Okay, so you got to really pay attention to the tags. Yeah, Stacy said, oh, hey, I was going to read it. Yeah, I would have to keep it for a while. I would show it off. I'd put it in my collection, put a spotlight on it. I would probably sell it. It is a piece of Banksy's artwork, and Banksy's artwork goes for crazy money. That's why it's doubled in price in just a year and a half. So I will not rest. I will not let myself die off this earth until I find the Banksy Paris Hilton thing. I can't ever believe I'm hunting for a Paris Hilton item. All right, tag and color will also, when you're doing your research, make you pay attention to the tag and color, because here is the Duffy Bear. Now, if you're unaware of the Duffy Bear and you've never wanted to ask, because we always talk about it, here you go. Duffy Bear is a bear made by Disney. As you can see, there is a hidden Mickey face in the face of the bear and also in his paw prints. Before he was called Duffy, he did not have a name. At some point, someone said, hey, it'd be easier to market this teddy bear if he had a name. So the tag says Duffy, and this bear sold for $27. Now, here's a pre-Duffy. The tag says nothing because the bear didn't have a name. So the fashion colors, purple, pink, blue, and red, are where the money is. So if you find this bear with the hidden Mickey face and the hidden Mickey paw prints, and it doesn't say Duffy on the tag, and it's in blue or purple or pink, now you're talking money. And this pre-Duffy blue just sold for $300. Now there was a moment when these were selling for $1,000. That moment is past, but still, it is $300. So keep your eyes peeled for those little Mickey Mouse paw prints. All right, size. Size is a big determining factor in price, because when you buy something, look, I bought, I'm going to pop myself on the screen here for a sec. I bought a picture once, and I've used this example 1,000 times. I don't have it here, but cool. I thought it was going to be maybe Betty Page size, and it was this size. And when I went back to the listing, it did say, 2 inches by 4 inches or whatever it was. But man, in my picture, I thought it was that size. So I was like, whoop. So if you were to find this Nassau Royale liquor bottle, if you're not paying attention, you might not realize that this one you just looked up is 7 1/4 inches. Now it does sell for $30. This is airplane size. This is the kind of bottle you get on an airplane. Nassau Royale, fun side fact, is a very yummy liqueur, and you can't get it in the States, but you can get it in the Bahamas, and you're allowed to bring it back. So there's a 7.25 inch, but there's also a 19 inch, the full size bottle, and that sold for $150. So look at these two pictures right here. If you quickly just looked at pictures and skipped reading the sizes, you might not even realize they're two different sizes, and radically different, 7 inches to 19 inches. That's a full bottle as opposed to an airline bottle. So make sure that you are paying attention to sizes. Now, this is not the only thing, but this is just a great example because I sell this bottle quite often, because also they don't make this bottle anymore. So if you've never seen this bottle before, lock it in your memory banks. This is a good bolo, and I've never thrifted the full size, but I have thrifted the small one probably 5 or 6 times. I thrifted 2 on Thrift Hunters. So if you watch Thrift Hunters, you actually saw this show up once. And yes, my mom is awesome because she has found both. Woo, mommy. Okay, another place size is very important is if you have an old say you had an iPod Touch 6th generation to sell. Well, is it a 16 gigabyte? Is it a 32 gigabyte? Or is it a 64 gigabyte? Obviously, 64 would be the most desirable because it's the biggest. What shocked me a little bit is it's just a smidge under doubling in price. So a 16 gigabyte is $70. A 64 gigabyte is $124. I'm shocked that the 32 gigabyte is only worth about $10 more. Because you doubled the space. But you would have to know which one you're selling before you could because when you're doing your research, if you say, hey, if someone says, hey, Ma, if my brother came to my mother and said, hey, will you sell my iPod Touch 6th generation? And my mom just looked him up on eBay. If she didn't think or know that there's sizes involved in the hard drive, she might just see some 16s and be like, oh, it's worth $70. She sells for 70. Oh, boo. She had the 64 gig. That's why research is important. That's why it's important to really pay attention to the sizes. Yes, I fully agree. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, the background's okay in the little one, but the background on the big one, holy, too busy. What the heck? What the heck? All right, so we're going to talk color again, because I was asking Joy, I said, hey, you got something quick that you could throw me over here? So 517 were the original bootcut jeans. They're for cowboys, and they're still made, and they're made today in the red tab. And this listing is horrible. They have no good. This is the best picture of the red tab. And, when you sell Levi's, if Joy has taught us anything, you got to, and I've always done this anyway, before meeting Joy, you got to show the tag on the back, the tab if it's Levi's. You got to show this. I can't even barely see that. That's crazy. This was their best photo of their tag. But when it originally came out, they were orange tabs. See, this one's a little bit better. Clear, you can read it. And it's a little bit of a different cut in the original 517 orange tabs that came out in the 80s. And so now we're talking more money, $140. And I think this example was from a member of the thrifting board. So that's a fun little added bonus. So if you just Googled 517 Levi's, your search wouldn't bring you back accurate enough information. You'd have to make sure you're like, okay, do I got the orange tab? Do I got the red tab? Maybe these came in blue tabs or black tabs too, because there's a whole bunch of different color tabs when it comes to Levi's. So always going back to make sure it's apples to apples. All right, manufacturer. This one's kind of funny to me when you see the look of it. So there's this big Mufasa, which is, Simba's dad. And this is a 35-inch, and then there's the next one I'm going to show you is a 40-inch. So they're both about the same. They're a big plush stuffed animal to lay on your bed. But two different companies made it for Disney at one point. So this is the Mattel version. And Mufasa looks kind of off a little bit. Like maybe Mufasa's a tad special. And as you can see, $85. Now, this is made by the Douglas Company. And look how much more majestic and regal Mufasa looks. And now we're talking $500. So the other one, the Mattel will bring okay money, but the Douglas one will bring great money. So say one time you had looked up the Mattel one and you saw this Douglas one, you might just think it's the Mattel one until you looked at the manufacturer. So manufacturers are sometimes very, very important to the bottom line of what the price is going to get you. Okay, version. We're going to do a few things here. I was talking to Debbie last night, and she's not with us today, and neither is Linda because they're on their way to their eBay meetup group. But she says, here's a great example. This is the school library 1962 version of To Kill a Mockingbird. As you can see, it's sold for a whopping $8. Here's a more modern version from the Eaton Press Collector's Edition, $77. And now we're talking Easton Press first edition, first pressing, $275. So you really, especially with books that have been around a long time, you can't just be like, oh, To Kill a Mockingbird, search. No. So much more to it. And you learned that from Debbie's webinar, but here's a prime example. Same exact book from $8 to $275. And another book that Debbie has talked about the night before Christmas, it's a pop-up book. And I don't know exactly what the difference is, but as you can see, what you're looking for is the one that's split in the middle, so both sides open out instead of just the book opening up, because we go from $7 to $57. So that one is more special. So keep your eyes peeled for the night before Christmas that opens up in the middle. All right, so this one, I don't know exactly what it is. Nadine knew I was working on this, and she goes, hey, check this out. So this was some game that you play, like a board type game. It's about being in Japan and getting mystical crystals and stuff. I don't know, maybe it's like a Japanese version of Dungeons and Dragons. But this was from Kickstarter, and there was multiple versions. As you can see, the font is the same, but the picture is different. So if you went to look this up, you would have to make sure, okay, which one's in front of me, left or right? Because the left, was it the left? Yeah, the left is worth $20, whereas the right is worth $321. So if you don't know Kickstarter, companies will make an item, and then to get it funded, they offer a Kickstarter. So they'll offer different levels, like you can get this one, or you can get the special one, or the super special one, or the super duper duper special one. And of course, all those levels going up means other things are within the product, or there's extra doodads or extra gadgetry. So if you found this game, make sure you know what version it is. And it goes along with kind of Cabbage Patch dolls too. If you don't know, the original Cabbage Patch dolls had soft faces, and then they quickly turned to hard plastic. So here's some of the older ones that had already turned to hard plastic. $7 a pair for 40, $13. Here is some of the early ones with the soft faces, $850, $900, and $1,100. So this one's pretty easy. You see a Cabbage Patch, poke it in the face. If it hurts your finger, you probably don't need it. If it's soft to the touch, grab it. Now I was talking to Christine, and she's big into art. And here's a prime example of versions. So this is live. This is the current Thomas Kinkade ordering this print Santa's Night Before Christmas. But as you can see, the price range, depending on how you have it made for you, goes from $175 to almost $5,000. So if you found this in a thrift store, okay, my choices are canvas or paper for the media. Canvas adds a lot more money. The sizes are 12 by 18, 18 by 27, or 24 by 36. Of course, the 24 by 36 is the bigger size. Then you've got the edition, SN, which I think is the normal, AP, which is artist proof, EP, which is editor proof, maybe, GP, I have no idea, PP is printer proof, and then EE is estate edition. So the printer proofs, the artist proofs, the estate editions, those are all low numbers. And the colors will be tweaked because the printer runs off a bunch, looks at them, picks his best, sends them off to the artist to look at. So there's always little nuanced differences. So if you happen to find this someday in a thrift store, you're going to have to go do some research to figure out, do you have a $5,000 version or do you have a $200 version? So you couldn't just type in Santa's Night Before Christmas art and see one sold for, $50 and be like, oh, that must be the $50 version. Oh, no, snap. You had the one on canvas, 24 by 36, the estate edition, and that's $5,000. Okay. I hope that makes sense. Speaking of editions, if you're a Star Wars nerd, you know what Lucas did. He ruined our childhood by altering the movies. And one of the biggest things he altered was when Han Solo blows Greedo away, Han just blew him away. But Lucas felt that he made Han a cold-blooded killer, so he re-edited and he made Greedo shoot first, and Greedo couldn't hit the side of a barn, and then Han blew him away. So here is the Laserdisc version of the Star Wars trilogy. It's the special edition. Special edition means, yeah, these are the ruined ones. So sold for $30. Here is the original edition, so where Han blows him away, and it's sold, the original version was sold for $100. Now, I want to take a quick pause to give you your get the hell out of here moment of the day. I was putting the red circle around the word original. Okay, so I was doing that red circle, and my phone cha-chinged for Amazon. And so as I was finishing that red circle, I looked at my phone to see what I sold. And the world works in crazy ways because, sold the soundtrack to Return of the Jedi. I have 100 slides in this presentation, and I have about 700 CDs for sale on Amazon. And somehow the universe at the same moment said, hey, while Jason's working on a slide for Star Wars, let's have him sell a Star Wars CD. That's crazy. That blew my mind today. By the way, I paid $7 for that CD at a used record store. They didn't know what they had, and I sold it for $30 plus shipping. All right. Now, misprint is different than misspelling. Misspelling is the word spelled wrong. Misprint is the type's a little messed up. And this is one I did not know about. This is pretty cool. So Final Fantasy VII was a big deal game on PlayStation 1. This is what what we'll call the regular version is selling for $17. But here's the misprint version. If you see the word masterpiece, it's in the middle paragraph where it says, with vivid landscapes, lush 3D animation, and environments, Squaresoft's multi-million-dollar masterpiece. Now look, somehow the I left the middle of the word, took a walk, and plopped himself right on top of the R. I'm not exactly how that happens nowadays because we're not doing printer press. We're not setting the exact letters in a printer press. It's all done on computer, so that just boggles my mind. However, it goes from $70 to $50 just for that misprint. And actually, there's misprints on a couple of these different Final Fantasy releases. I was reading a whole website about them last night. So that was from Christine's husband. So I want to thank her and him for that. Thanks, Bruce. But it's pretty neat when you can find things like this. Now, this would be an easy thing to find. Now that you've got Final Fantasy 7 PlayStation, it's the PlayStation 1, so it won't have any numbers following it. You flip that over. If that eye is just floating out in the middle there, you got the good one. All right, there's some nuances that will change things. These are vintage Chanel shoes. As you can see, there is nothing here on the side, and they sell for about $35. Now, the modern version looks almost exactly like it, except for it's got the little CC. And as you can see, $339. So sometimes older means more money, and sometimes newer means more money. And so if you happen to find these shoes, that nuance will tell you what pair you have. Now, we are going to be doing a Prince webinar, a Secret Beach surf report coming up in November, I think. Or maybe October. And so we're going to talk a lot about Prince, but I wanted to show you, this is a prime example that if you were to find Crystal Ball and you just, search it on eBay, you got to know there's 3 different editions. Now, Prince always thought he was funny. One of his CDs called Love Sexy has 9 songs, but he made it all on track 1. So you can't skip to song 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. You have to listen to it all the way through. And he put one version of Crystal Ball in this round case. Now, the round case is super cool and fun because it's different, but guess what happens? It doesn't fit on your CD shelves. So he released 2 different versions. Here's the 4 CD set in the round case, recently sold for $150. You find any version of Crystal Ball, you've got some money to be made. However, there was also a 5-disc version. Let me back up here. Crappy picture. I see the ceiling in this. I see the light. You can take angles on things. You don't need to see all that. But let's switch to this one. And this weird, skinny, horizontal picture in the middle. But this is the 5-disc version with a lot of parentheses and dashes in the title. You don't need any of those. And the 5-disc takes us from $150 to $250. It's worth $100 more to have the 5-disc version. And then he also made, for those of us who wanted to stick it actually on our CD shelves, he made a 4-disc version with in a regular square case. And that sold for $119. So as you can see, they're all worth money, but you can't just look up Prince Crystal Ball. You got to be specific. Round, 4-disc, or 5-disc. All right, UPC will tell you a lot about an item too. Master P is a rapper. I think we talked about him in the CD webinar or one of the follow-up webinars. This is one of his earliest CDs called The Ghetto's Trying to Kill Me. And here is the barcode on the current version. Now, the current version would make you think maybe this is the special version. It says limited collector's edition contains 2 new bonus songs, but you'd be wrong. So there's our barcode 04992-506-9624, sold for $33. This version barcode is 768-164-01882. This is the original version, so we go from $33 to $600. Collectors always want the first edition. They always want the rare. And there is this whole class of hip-hop collectors that want all of these rare, early release, independent label stuff, and they will pay great money for them. Okay, country, and I don't mean twang and country music. I mean the country it came from. Here is Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. This is the USA release on Capitol. Look how awful this picture is, and you'll understand how awful it is in a second. This is what's in their room. They took it and they had to rotate the picture because it's upside down because all that stuff is not hanging from the ceiling. So just horrendous. But here is the USA version. Sold for a whopping $2. Woohoo! Here is the Made in Japan early 1987 version, I think. Same CD, but made in Japan, made differently, sounds different. But this is the Japanese version, $75. We go from $2 to $75. And then staying with the Dark Side of the Moon, we're talking version still. This is a more current version, but it's 2003, and it's a super audio. So if you remember from the CD webinar, super audio is a kind of an awesome thing because it's like they remix it for surround sound, and that's $53. So it's all the same album, but it depends on where it comes from and is it a different version or not. Because there was also a Japanese version that was super audio, a Japanese version that was gold disc. So all those things play a factor. But if you rolled across a Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon CD and you just type that into eBay, you're going to get too many results. That's where you're going to have to start being specific, whether it be by the barcode or by the country it came from. Oh, I forgot my last little circle there. All right, Q&A. Now, I finished this webinar about 2 hours ago. Never practiced it. I just want to point out it came in at 57 minutes. Woohoo! I love when my stuff hits exactly. Ta-da! So let's make sure everyone's doing the proper research so we don't have you selling your products for too little of money, or on the other end of that, trying to command too much money because you'll think you have the special one and you didn't do enough research to find out, nope, you just got the average every all day one. I used this example last night when I did a little live in the Secret Beach, if you didn't see it. This is the exact same cassette with the exact same 2 songs on it. But as you can see, this one's got a different pack and it's got some concert dates on the back. This one's worth a few dollars. This one's worth like 50. Okay. So collectors will pay good money for the special. We'll call it the special version. Whew, all right. 458. Rock on. Now, real quick. Thanks, Angela. The ones I can pop up, they're a little behind the actual. I'm also watching the actual. Come on. Yeah, so far behind. All right, I'll just pop this one up because that's the only one I see right now. Oh, there we go. There we go. Thanks, Angela. But please reach out. Reach out to me. Make a post on the thrifting board. Make a post on Secret Beach. If you've got any form of media, if you've got any tiki mug, you've got any pair of jeans that you're not exactly sure what version, if it's all this stuff is spinning around in your head, me, the admins, Joy, my mom, they'll definitely help you point in the right direction. Because as my mom said, this will help her a lot. I don't want my mom to sell a mask for $18 when she got 40. And I bet you that one that's for 100 will sell for around 60 by Halloween. So we'll go back and revisit that. I am watching that Halloween mask. So, I want you all to make the most money possible and without wasting your time thinking you're going to make more money. Okay. Yep. Thank you, Tina. And hey, Tina, thank you. You helped out. You pointed out something I have never noticed. And it's crazy to me. I'm a music nerd. I love the nuances. I know all of them. I have never noticed that. I'm going to go home and look at my copy and be like, what? And yep, Jenny's always around to help on Christmas. So I always appreciate Jenny's help. And if there's no other questions, we're going to call it a wrap right on the dot at 5 o'clock. All right, cool. Thank you all. I'll see you around the Secret Beach. And this Thursday, we got a great thrifty business about thrifting in the big city and a surprise co-host who you will all know. It'll be fun. So tune in on Thursday night. All right. With that, I am out of here. Have a good evening, everybody. Aloha.